All
Go ahead.
right. Yeah, it's very official. Um, I am here with Miss Shannon Cheddick or Shannon Flores. Well, I guess Flores because we're outside of school. um, and we have the wonderful pleasure of sharing a room together at Elwood, and we work together. But Shannon is also a mother of four and runs a whole separate side business, kind of like myself, and that's the focus of this show here is just to highlight folks and their businesses and the amazing things they do. So Shannon, if you don't mind, just kind of introduce us all to what your business is.
Yeah, so my husband and I, we own a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu studio. So a little different. There are different types of Jiu-Jitsu. I know there's American Jiu-Jitsu, but we own a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu studio. It's called Over Under Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. We are located in Miller Place, so we kind of surround the Mount Sinai, Miller Place, Rocky Point, feed in from all of those areas.
Wow. Okay. So, what I guess the first question I always have is what separates like Brazilian jiu-jitsu from other jiu-jitsu?
So Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, the style that my husband is basically teaching at our school, follows the style of Grand Master Monsieur, and he is one of the founders of Jiu-Jitsu, with the Gracies and all of them. So he follows his model. He trained under, Grand Master Monsieur, and he got his black belt from him, and so he follows his style, even with promotions and things like that. I know, some academies promote in different ways. They promote at certain points throughout the year. But our style is that there is a promotion once a year and you have to fulfill certain skills in order to be able to obtain that belt.
Okay. So there's a lot of structure built into that.
Yeah.
Structure and discipline.
Yeah, that's kind of what we pride ourselves on is the fact that, and one of the, main takeaways from any martial art that you do is the structure and discipline of the program. And that's something that's so beneficial for so many students, children, adults, is that structure and routine.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we definitely have our insights on that. um so what's the age groups there? Like what's the variation in ages that you guys have at the studio?
So we start with 3-year-olds. 3-year-olds,
3-year-olds.
we
Wow.
do. And it sounds crazy, but even something as simple as learning how to do a forward roll correctly, like, kids learn how to tumble. They go to gymnastics to learn how to tumble. And
Right.
I'll say, even as an adult, I honestly never really knew the proper way to roll. And, something even like back break falls, like how do you fall backwards correctly and safely? So
Right.
those are like the main things that we'll teach our younger kids. Those classes and lessons are usually structured for a shorter period of time just to appeal to their attention span. And then we range up to, we have teenagers, we have some of our teenagers in our adult classes, and then we have adult classes. We have both males and females. I'll say right now our kids classes are a really good, probably an even mix of boys and girls.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as a girl dad, I know definitely if they if they ever decide they want to do Brazilian jiu-jitsu, I know where I'm sending them. What age group is like the most what classes are the most filled as far as age group is concerned? Like, do you have more adults in the classes, more kids, or is it kind of
So
evenly
I feel right
distributed?
now we're pretty evenly dispersed. We have a lot of, 4, 5, 6-year-olds. We do. And then we have our, like third, fourth, fifth graders. So you have that range. As far as our teenagers, we have a variety. And again, that where their place is going to be is on their skill level because we don't want to put a teenager who has no experience at all with an adult. But at the same point, we don't want to make them feel uncomfortable that now they're in a class, with a 9-year-old. So,
Right.
some of those students we have to look on a case by case basis, and maybe we'll do a couple of individual lessons and then integrate them in. One of the nice things that we have actually done over the course of the years is we work with quite a few special ed students. We've been trying to really reach out to SEPTAs, in different school districts, and run fundraisers, because for, children with ADHD and behavioral issues, this is a great discipline. Just like we talked about before with that structure. So
Yeah.
we have a couple of our students now, and sometimes we do need to work with them individually in a smaller setting, especially because it can be overstimulating at times. But our ultimate goal is to integrate them into the class with the rest of our students. And right now, all of our students who are in that category are fully integrated with all of our other kids.
Wow. Okay. I mean, you're definitely probably the most trained person to have that niche, excuse me, of students or kids with special needs and bringing them into a program like this. I mean, um do you see significant change or adjustment in kids like with ADHD and focusing issues? Like, do you see a change in them when they're coming to the school and having the structure and discipline of being on the mat?
I do. And even for my own children, because I have two children who obviously have, special needs. And so even for them, just the ability to release energy, but in an appropriate way, and learning body control. When is it appropriate? When is it not appropriate? And how do I appropriately move my body so that I'm not putting my hands on someone in an inappropriate way or anything like that. So just even learning self-control, and when we can release that energy, when we cannot, and how, again, even to keep ourselves safe, our own bodies safe, and then those around us safe. So we're not flailing, we're not, rolling around where we may now be knocking someone over. So between the structure and then learning that self-control and that body control, we've really seen tremendous improvements. And even just overall for all of our students, that building confidence, that understanding that you're not going to be successful maybe at first, and overcoming obstacles, all of those challenges and facing that adversity, just it
Mhm.
has built so much confidence among a lot of the kids.
That's got to be huge for kids, especially with like ADHD and like you said, I think the confidence of knowing that you have the skills, but then it's learning that the level of control, because the impulse control is so difficult for kids who deal with that, and you're learning impulse control like in such a way that's well beyond like sitting in a classroom or anything else. Like you're learning how to control your impulses while in like a very violent situation where you need the most composure you could possibly have. I mean, not that they're getting into bare knuckle fights or anything, but you're competing on a mat with someone who's trying to submit you or choke you out or knock you out. So you need that level of control, and you're doing it in the moment and keeping everything together and staying focused and then utilizing the skills that they have been taught all at once. I mean, I I can only imagine that the benefits are very, very high for being involved in something like this. If you're especially a kid, for any kid, I see the benefits, but especially for a kid with special needs.
Well, and even as an adult, that's one of the main reasons I started training in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, was for, as you said before, you're a dad of girls, to be able to protect myself, in a position where maybe I am in a compromised situation. How do I defend myself? And one of the main things that happens is your emotions take over, whether it be, because you're impulsive, whether it be out of fear, you begin to have these emotions, and that does not help you solve the situation, get yourself out of the situation, clearly think of what you need to do in the next step. And part of this is that as well. You're in situations sometimes that, it's not always fun when you're sitting there in a position where you're being submitted or someone's choking you, but you need to be able to breathe and stay calm and think,
Mhm.
how do I maneuver myself? How do I keep myself safe? So
Mhm.
across the board, between, being little and being an adult, just that ability to stay calm in a pressure situation. And I feel like that carries over to everything.
Mhm.
If you're in an emergency situation, in your own home, being able to maintain that composure is so important. And that's one of the main benefits that me, as somebody who hasn't trained my whole life, has taken away from this.
Yeah, I mean that makes total sense because it seems like, again, not every situation is going to be physical, but I feel like from the extreme of learning that control in a physical setting like that, and then you transfer it to everyday life where something might annoy you or irritate you, where without that training, it might set you off and you might react physically, especially if you're a kid who's having trouble controlling your emotions and it becomes physical. You might have a difficult time controlling those emotions when a tough situation arises. But with this training, I'm sure that it probably teaches you to control those emotions in non-physical settings as well. It's got to have
Mhm.
benefits off the mat as well.
Yeah, it definitely does.
Yeah. So when did you guys, so let's go back to the beginning. How did the business actually, I mean, you're a mom of four, you have a full-time teaching job. Um, how did you find the time to open up a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu studio and start a full-fledged business?
So Ramon has trained his whole life. He, when he came here, he started training. He learned under Master. Master was basically like his, jujitsu father. He is, even to our family, he is, my kids call him grandpa, he is the key to this whole thing. And he trained Ramon, and Ramon, aspired to be something similar to him. And Master had a successful business, and Ramon loved the art. And he wanted to not only, I think, follow along in his footsteps, but also carry on his legacy in a way too.
Mhm.
I mean, he wasn't going to teach forever, nor will Ramon at some point, but just to be able to keep the art alive and the respect of the art of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and where it's started, where it is today. I mean, even look at mixed martial arts, and it's a whole different world than it was years ago. So keeping the legacy of that sport alive. So it was always his dream to start a business. And things started to get a little crazy after we had the kids, and Master, didn't know what direction he was going in with his business. Ramon was still teaching there, but things were just kind of like all over the place. And Ramon said, I think I want to start my own school.
Mhm.
So we did. We branched out, and we started. Our first place was over at, a facility in Rocky Point, but kind of like off the beaten path.
Okay.
So, our main goal, especially being a mom of four kids, is yes, we want to teach our kids the discipline, and we want them to enjoy the sport and, develop a love for the sport. But we also wanted to create like a family friendly center. Like, we wanted this to be a family. Like I said before, Master, we view him as our family. He is our family. And we wanted everyone that came to our school to have that same kind of bond, that same, because it is an individual sport. It's not necessarily a team sport per se when you're on the
Yeah.
mat, but we wanted to build that camaraderie and that team. So we felt like the other facility we were in, it wasn't as appealing to maybe parents with young kids. So we did look to switch facilities, and we love where we are currently. Like, we feel like it really is a family friendly area. It's a nice area. There's a park next to our facility. So sometimes, in the warmer weather, we'll take the kids out into the grass and do some, agility and training over there. But
Wow.
that, like
Okay.
that was our main goal, to really create this like bond between everyone.
That's great. I mean, I it sounds like one, just to go back to one thing you said, it sounds kind of like um it was almost like an anointing of Ramon to like kind of carry the torch,
Hmm.
which makes it, it definitely more special in the sense that like it's not just like anyone can open the business, like anyone can just open a Brazilian jiu-jitsu business. Like this was almost like kind of passed down in a way, like a rite of passage. Like, okay, you've come to the point where you can have your own studio. I was gonna say dojo, but that's because I have um, what's that show that they talk about all the time?
I know, Cobra Kai. I know we
Cobra
kind
Kai,
of
yeah. It's like
don't know.
automatic. I'm like dojo, like
I always don't know. Sometimes I'm like, I don't know. What do we call ourselves? A school, a dojo? I'm not sure,
yeah.
but
I mean, I like studio sounds well. I think it sounds more inviting. Number one, like when you call it a studio, it's like, oh yeah, we're going to the studio. It's like, oh okay, like it doesn't sound like dojo. I don't know, dojo Cobra Kai. It sounds aggressive.
yeah.
Um, but Okay. And what year did you guys start again? I don't remember off the top of my
We
head.
started in 2014 is when he officially launched
Okay.
the business.
Wow. Okay.
And it was, it's been a struggle. Like
Yeah.
we have definitely had our trials and tribulations. We, building clientele and things like that because we also there's also a respect within martial arts where you respect you have your opponents and you have your obviously your competitors, but you also there is a sense of respect built in there. So we also had to consider things like who has other studios and where they are, in order to try to really establish and be respectful of others around us. So that kind of hurt us a little bit in the sense of it really took us a little while to get launched and to get our name out there and to start to build. But I will say right now, like I said, we have a really good showing for our kids classes and our adult classes, and everyone we have gotten has pretty much been through word of mouth or seminars that we have done.
Okay.
So that's one thing too that we have really tried to focus on is we really want people who are coming in because they were recommended. We were recommended by someone. They were
Yeah.
happy
Yeah.
that, when they showed up.
Yeah. Hey, listen, you know me, referrals the best source of business
I
as far as
know.
I'm concerned. um, what do you do for seminars? Like, what's a seminar like?
So we actually going back to Master, his son, they still own the martial arts studio. They come from Brazil. So his son actually in the first week of October, he came and he did a seminar at the school. So it was really nice. Again, keeping that, that lineage together a little bit. And even for our members who were there, it was so like a lot of them were so intrigued just at studying the history and seeing it's almost like a legend in your presence,
Hmm.
and it is. So it was
Yeah.
kind of cool having the seminar. When Ramon hosts a seminar, it really depends on who the seminar is for. If it's adults, we've done seminars for Girl Scout troops where we focused solely on self-defense. Like, how do you defend yourself in certain situations? We've done seminars for college students getting ready to, high school students who graduated getting ready to go off to college. Like, what do you do in certain situations? Which isn't necessarily fully Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but it's still a form of self-defense in there. So, we structure it based on what's going, who it is and kind of what they're seeking to get out of it. But a
And
lot of your basic.
how do you reach out to them? Like, what's your game plan for like when you do the Girl Scout seminar? Is it all via your sphere of people that come to the studio already, or are you doing other outreach like Facebook or like so? How do you get people in for the seminar? And I'm assuming is it free? Like you'd host a free seminar and then hopefully people join.
So again, if we're having someone come in, then there would be a fee tied to
Okay.
it. But typically, if Ramon is doing the seminar, then yes, it is a free seminar.
Okay.
It depends. We do have a website. We do have a Facebook page. Ramon's on Twitter with the school, so we'll post out blasts that way. He's been doing a lot of like reaching out to preschools. We did a seminar, at the preschool that the boys went to. He
Oh
did
wow.
a seminar at another preschool just to kind of expose those students to what it is. Because some people don't even know what it is.
Right.
They're not even sure what jujitsu is. You can
Right.
say it, but there's a lot of martial arts. You have various arts and they're all different. They all
Hmm.
have different specialties. So some people are not even sure what Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is. So it's almost just even exposing the art to people, not
Right.
even so much teaching certain skills, but just being like, this is what jujitsu is. And if you're interested, if it's something that you would feel comfortable doing, I've reached out, like I mentioned before, to SEPTAs, to various SEPTA programs. So within our own home district, we did a seminar last year. We're doing one again this year for that particular population. The Girl Scout troops, we've reached out in certain ways. The people that we've gotten are just people through contacts from myself being involved with Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts and
Mhm.
that method.
I love that idea actually of just of do the the pointed seminar for someone. I mean, that's like when you like I just had 20-year vision of my girls going off to college. And like, yeah, I would send them. I'd be like, you're going, you're going to learn how to defend yourself in a terrible situation. Like, don't even want to think about it. But at the same time, like, what a great thing.
Hmm.
Was it? And I'm sure it was probably pretty well attended.
It was. And that's where we're looking again to structure like time wise, because, you have to look at what's going on senior year. And, during the summer, most high school students, they're hanging out with their friends. They're not really going to be interested in attending. So, I think for us right now, it's finding that prime time where it's close enough to when they're going to be leaving, but not interfering with their social lives, because it really is so beneficial. Just even if you take one skill from it,
Yeah.
of all the things that you're introduced to, if you could take one skill just to protect yourself, just to make sure, I feel like then we covered what we needed to. We did our job.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause that one skill might be the difference, like in a
Hmm.
terrible situation. And that's, hopefully all that you need.
Yeah,
Yeah. No,
exactly.
that's great. I mean, that I love that idea. Like I love doing the seminars too. I just did a first time home buyer seminar. We're gonna do some seller seminars, but I just love the idea of because like you said, there's an education factor that you have to do. Like you have to educate people about what it is. And then at the same time, like if people are coming and you're giving them something functional in the moment, I'm sure that there's some retention for you for the business where you got to be getting some clients out of it. Even if it's not them, there's got to be a referral that says, "Hey, I sent them, my kids are going away to college, but your kids would love this." Like you should, it's got to be happening for you guys.
It is. And that's why even the preschools have been great, because it's just exposure. I feel like at this point, it's exposure, it's getting yourself out there. And then once it's drawing them in, because once they come in, like I said, the one thing that's unique about us is that we really are very family centered. Like
Mhm.
for example, we're having our Halloween party tomorrow night for our kids, and we try to alternate events between kid only events and then family events. So then next month we're doing, in order to support Special Olympics, which obviously, I said that's one thing that makes us unique, is that we kind of do try to bring in that population, is we're going to do the polar plunge in support of Special Olympics next month.
Mhm.
So we have a bunch of our kids and our adults who are going to participate in that, and then we're going to do like a Friendsgiving after. So we really try to not only just promote the art, but then create that bond. And I think people feel that when they come in, and that's then what ultimately keeps them is, now you're getting exercise, which everybody, it's a
We all
stress
need it.
reliever for adults.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a nice, we were joking tonight and we're like, hey, this is our night out, but it is for some of us. And we get
Yeah.
to socialize and the kids hang out, and, they're all having fun playing while we get to work out a little bit. So it
Yeah.
is nice. And even for me as a mom, right now, I have 4 other women who are training with me. So I can go, and I have my 4 kids. The one mom has her 3 kids. They all sit. They were playing Uno tonight while we all got to train for an hour.
Well, I can only imagine hearing all of the things and activities that you do for your kids. I can only imagine how you transfer that into the business side and make it fun for everybody who's coming there and all of these creative things. Because I see what you do every day. And then I also hear about what you do with your own kids, like with all that stuff. So I can only imagine what the events are like at the school. They're probably a ton of fun. Um, but yeah, I mean that's I what you're doing is what honestly like everybody should be doing that has their own business is you're providing value. You're offering something up. You're bringing in its community, its value. It's not like you're not asking, you're giving, and then you're not asking for that give. Like you're giving to people just on your own without worrying about getting anything in return. And in a way, it's paying dividends because you're creating the culture that you want and you're getting the people that you want in your school. And that's like, I think probably makes you guys happy other than the fact of like, unless you decide you want a franchise and, have 20 studios.
Yeah.
Is that in the works? Is that in the cards?
Well, I mean, he does have the one. So we do have one other studio in Pennsylvania.
Oh,
It's
right.
somebody
Okay.
who trains under him, so he'll go down there here and there. But I mean, for right now, we like our. I mean, maybe at some point he would love to branch out, but we like the ability to have our close knit, like our close-knit family, and just like you were saying, like do these fun events. And I think, for me right now with everything going on with the kids, I think it's a lot, and I wouldn't be able to put my whole heart into it. And then so if I can't do that, it's just not the time.
Right.
So maybe down the road when the kids are older, but for the time being, I think just putting everything into what we have right now is our most important, our most important goal. And getting out in the community, just, creating those opportunities, even now by doing this polar plunge, like, we were highlighted as a new team, and that's publicity. And, we every winter we do the gifts for Stony Brook Hospital. We collect donations and stuff, and just going over there. So I feel like you said, just getting out into the community is just so important, and it's great for the kids too.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, and I know you're doing it in a very genuine way. It's not, you're not doing it in a way that's like, oh, look what we're doing. Like,
Yeah.
knowing you, it's done because you actually care. Which is, says you could say a lot different things about a lot of other people that do stuff like that. But you guys doing it, it's obvious, just knowing you, that you actually have a purpose and care about these causes. And I mean, ultimately, again, like you said, you're just doing it to do it. You're doing it to teach the kids that it's the right thing to do, and being a part of the community, and um have that within your circle there, your tribe. But I'm sure the community is noticing, and I'm sure people are saying like, wow, that's a great school, that's a great place. Like, I want to send my kids there. And ultimately, like, it's a vibe. That's a good vibe.
And I think sometimes, because, depending on martial arts and what people think of it, some people can associate it with, like you said before, it can be a little aggressive. And then there can be a negative connotation associated with it. And I think that's part of, why we're trying to do what we do as well. Like to see, to show people and expose the fact that, like, these are good kids. They're good kids, and they have learned discipline and structure, and they're not out there being aggressive and, using these techniques in inappropriate ways.
Right.
They're really out there to help the community, and, they have learned this art, and yes, they have, but, we're trying to promote those positive connotations associated with it.
Yeah, they haven't had a full out brawl in the school lobby,
Yeah, no.
bring it back to Cobra Kai.
Maybe in
But
my
yeah.
basement.
Yeah, but that's only year 4, like,
Yeah.
just kicking each other's butts. No, I like it's, hey, listen, nothing wrong. I don't think there's anything wrong with kids getting discipline, especially when it's being taught by good people. Which you and Ramon are. You're teaching, you're the right kind of people who should be teaching this stuff to kids. But yeah, I look forward to where, I guess I'm going to start wrapping it up, because I think we're going to lose the time. I'm almost at the 40-minute mark. But yeah, so what are any other events that you have coming up, or anything you want to shout out to anybody? Like, where can they find you? What's the website, email, contact info? So this way I'll link it all here, and people can reach out and see what you guys are doing.
So on Facebook, Twitter, it's just Over Under BJJ, Over Under Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. If you just search it up, it'll pop right up. And that's pretty much the best way to reach out to us at any point. I know Ramon has videos, pictures, anything you want to see, any kind of questions or anything like that. We're here to answer anything that anybody may have.
All right, awesome. I'm going to put all that stuff in the links when people see this. If they see it, hopefully they do. If they're not, they're missing out. So watch it. But yeah, that's awesome. And we'll definitely do this again, Shannon. We could do some updates on other business stuff you've done, because I feel like a interesting thing here would be to come on once in a while, and you could talk about like all the creative stuff that you do for the business, and even with your kids, just to give people ideas on how to grow their business like in a natural, organic, and meaningful way.
Awesome.
All right. With that, we are going to sign off. So Shannon, thanks for coming again. Check out the show notes. I'm going to call them show notes. This is like really the first show. But everything's linked below. And Shannon, thank you for coming on. And thank you everybody who watches this at some point. You should watch it and share it and like it and subscribe and comment and do all that stuff, because we're going to be featuring local businesses every week, sometimes more than once a week. And it's if you are a local business and you want to come on and talk about what you do, we would love to have you. If you want to know about great local businesses, this is a wonderful place to find them. But other than that, thank you very much. And remember, we are always here to help.